Dear listeners, welcome back. This is Life After Life Beyond the Veil podcast. My name is Morgan, and this is episode 7, Like a Toddler with a Bone. Why is the soul of God, or the Creator's consciousness, placed temporarily in a physical body, and what becomes of it after its release? Why? That's what it all comes down to, doesn't it? An apparently simple word that continues to churn over and over and over again. A need that must be met. Like a source code offering instructions written into our programming language that tells us how to behave. The basis of our modus operandi in all that we do. Why? It's all cyclical, and it keeps returning to that same question. The answer, having the ability to completely change not only our perspective, but our whole existence for the better. In the interim, however, this yawning chasm of a question has fingers and threads that can weave its way through every aspect of our lives, whether we realize it or not. Like an illness whose symptoms evade you until they're gone, you will only understand the full devastation once you feel the absence of its weight. Your spine will straighten, your shoulders will rise, your chest will swell, your head will lift, and your eyes will open to the clarity of what's to come. To start things off, a couple of excerpts from Mansions of the Soul by H. Spencer Lewis. Big surprise, right? One of the objections on the part of those who are fundamentalists of the modern type in their religious viewpoints is that the doctrine of rebirth seems to place the soul of man in the position of being a spiritual entity continuously bound to earthly conditions. Such persons say that it is disturbing to the peace of their minds and their spirits to think of the soul as a requiring earthly experiences, trials, and tribulations in order to evolve or perfect itself. They also argue that it should not be necessary for the soul to have earthly experiences or to require any process or system of earthly development. Their contention is that the soul of man is a divine, infinite, spiritual something, having its origin in God and maintaining eternally its transcendental nature, and that it can neither be added to nor subtracted from, nor in any way made more divine than it is when it leaves God and enters the body of man. A final contention is that it is horrifying to think that the soul must have more than one contact with the quagmire of earthly contamination, instead of returning to the eternal spiritual world and remaining there in its sublime spiritual state. In the first place, attention is called to the fact that the soul is here in a physical body and is in contact with the earthly experiences. And this fact is neither an assumption nor a simple matter of doctrinal faith. We cannot alter the fact that it is here and it is passing through a process of experiences. We come face to face with the questions as to why a soul in its perfection should require earthly experiences for even a day or an hour. We cannot possibly conceive of there being no reason, no purpose, and no great end to being served by the incarnation of the soul in a physical body. We therefore proceed to study the attributes of this soul and learn what it really is and why it may benefit by contact with earthly experiences. Chapter 3 and 4, Mansions of the Soul. Now, we have discussed the duality of man, the how, so to speak. If you haven't already, I do suggest you have a listen to my prior episode 5, We're Happier When We Know More. I do mention some of this and refer to this. It's time to lean into the why. This enigmatic query, seemingly less poetic than the creation story, but possibly more intrinsically connected to us at the point of time before we step onto the path of our spiritual journey. It is the base inquiry that rides us all regardless of our category of faith or lack thereof. The answer, as Mr. Lewis has stated, is for the soul to have certain earthly experiences, and secondly, the human physical body is to have the advantage of spiritual knowledge and illumination in addition to its mundane knowledge. So why? Like a toddler with a bone, we continue the examination. Why would we need this? Why would our soul need this? Why? That's my toddler. Another quote for you from Mr. Lewis. It is often argued that since the soul is infinite in its wisdom, there can be no reason for the statement that through its experiences here on earth, it adds to its knowledge, and if it possesses all knowledge, it cannot possibly add to that wisdom. Correct. In a way. Considering the soul, the breath of life, is part of the all, the Creator, God, etc., then our souls are indeed wise in the way of universal knowledge, cosmic laws, and principles. However, that does not mean that our souls are sage in all of man's artificially established and arbitrarily created beliefs and practices, as Mr. Lewis puts it. Then why would our souls need that? First, think of it this way and stick with me. When the books of the Bible were being written, what was fundamental and essential in those times, in that part of the world, would not hold such import for a different part of the world, such as Japan during the same time, since they would have had their own beliefs and bedrock. Neither does it hold still in the Middle East today. What was once the focus may no longer even be a blip on the radar of time. This is because our knowledge, or earthly knowledge, of foundations and applications is fleeting and changes rapidly. It is never the same. Each moment is different from the last. Just as the physical world we live in continues to evolve and flow with time, so does our knowledge. This continually churning amalgamation of thought and experience is what's needed. Again, why? Just as our knowledge is constantly changing, so is our ego, our personality, our character, whatever you want to call it. We are in a continuous ascension towards perfection of self. Even a man in prison will tell you, if he's being honest, that there remains a subtle urge that still whispers to not do the things he does. Some whispers are louder than others. Some speak up more than others. Some are still-minded. The conscience. Whether we heed it or not, it is there. It is there trying to help us maintain that upward trajectory of learning, of refining, of taking what we've been through and applying it to the next situation. Up, up, up. Our inner self wants us to be better, to do better. It wants us to not just aspire to greatness, but also evolve to it. But why? And here it is, returning to why would our souls need that? I told you to hold on, and here it is. Because we are not just our souls. What makes us unique from our Creator is our inner self, that ego, personality, character that I spoke of, that drives us. That drives our choices in life, our inner creed. It's our spirit, the part of us born into the physical body as it took its first breath, the glue between our eternal soul, the life essence bestowed to us by our Father, and the form that would house us during our life here on earth. The spirit is us. The spirit is what grows, what becomes our experiences. Our body is simply the vessel. What continues on after that vessel breaks down is our soul and our spirit. Our soul being our true form, our true life force, and our spirit, what makes us who we are. That is what we will become and carry with us. So, to answer that question, it is not that the soul needs perfecting. It is not that the soul needs experiences. Our soul already has everything. It's perfect. It's our connection to all, to each other, to the infinite. Our spirit is the focus of all we do here on earth, all we gain. It's not the heart and soul. It is the heart of our soul. And hopefully, my friends, that has assuaged some of the whys. And that concludes our tour of H. Spencer Lewis's Mansions of the Soul. Originally, I'd planned to talk on him more, but as time goes on, I'm getting more of those pecking by the ducks. So I'm going to put Mr. Spencer to the side for now, and if I feel so driven, I will refer back to him into the future, but right now, we're gonna go elsewhere. I do recommend this book as an addition to anyone's reading list if you are not familiar with it already. He has a slight C.S. Lewis feel, if you've read any C.S. Lewis, and at times the manner of writing can become a bit boggy. But, if you push through it, and, if you're not somebody that believes in reincarnation, if you put the belief of reincarnation aside and look at it for the purpose of believing and knowing that life goes on after so-called death, and that the soul is, then I feel the man's work was ahead of its time. You can find his book available for download on iBooks. Just a friendly reminder, if you think of reaching out to the Supreme Grand Lodge of the Ancient and Mystical Order, that lovely group of people that own the copyright to his book, for whatever reason, save your paper and save your breath, because I'm still waiting. So moving forward, like I said, it'll be more of a first come, first serve of inspiration on the same topic. So be sure to look out for my next episode. Thank you so much for joining me and for listening. Happy years and happy tears to you all. Cheers.